We'll begin with political matters in West Africa, where the Supreme Court on Monday reserved a judgment on the appeal filed by Nigeria's opposition People's Democratic Party and Labour Party challenging the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which affirmed the victory of President Bola Tinubu in the 2023 presidential election. The court took argument from lawyers to parties on the motion filed by the petitioners to supply fresh evidence as it relates to the president's certificate for the Chicago State University. Now, counsel to the PDP, Chris Uche, urged the court to grant their petition and allow their appeal, which seeks disqualification of the president. On their part, lawyers to the respondent, Abubakar Mohamud, representing Nigeria's electoral body, Wole Olanikpekon, representing the president, and Akin Olujimi, representing the ruling All Progressives Congress, urged the court to dismiss both the motion and appeal for lacking merit. The lead justice of the panel of justices, Justice Iyan Okoro, informed all parties to appeal that it will be reserved. The court also dismissed the appeal filed by the Allied People's Movement. And joining us on the news to talk about these is Marvelous Obomanu to give an update on the proceedings. Good afternoon, Marvelous.
Yes, good afternoon, Adebola.
Yes, good afternoon. Now, bring us up to speed regarding proceedings in court.
All right, okay. As you are very much aware, the Supreme Court, that's the Apex Court of Nigeria, commenced.
All right, okay. As you are very much aware, the Supreme Court, that's the Apex Court of Nigeria, commenced hearing of the appeal of the three consolidated appeal filed by Nigeria's opposition, People's Democratic Party, Labour Party, and Allied People's Movements. That, of course, today at the Court of Appeal, the presiding judge, which is Justice Iyan, had said that the APM's case, they dismissed the APM's case because the court had earlier ruled on this same issue, the double nomination of Kashim Shettima, which was the case that Allied People's Movement is challenging at the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court dismissed that case, that they have determined that case before when Nigeria's opposition, People's Democratic Party, filed it. So they dismissed it. Then as for the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party challenging the verdict of the Presidential Election Petitions Court, which upheld the victory of President Bola Tinubu, the court, after listening to the petitioners and the defense counsels making their arguments and counter-arguments, the court reserved the judgment to another date that will be communicated later. Remember that Atiku is challenging President Tinubu's academic qualifications, which he got from CSU, and now asked the court that he wants to submit those those credentials as a fresh evidence, which the court heard today, and reserved the judgment, which will be communicated later. So the hearing has ended for today.
Okay.
And the next date it is adjourned will be communicated soon.
All right, Marvelous.
The APM's case has been dismissed, and both the Labour Party and PDP's case will be determined later.
All right, Marvelous. Following this verdict given in court, what was the general atmosphere or mood like in court upon the verdict? Marvelous, are you there?
Well, of course, after the counsel to APM, when the court was about strike. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. I can hear you, Marvelous. Go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go right ahead, Marvelous. I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me? All right. Of course, when the counsel to Allied People's the Allied People's Movement rose up in court to challenge the fact that they said the case will be dismissed, the counsel said no, that they have fresh evidence, to tender to support the argument against Shettima's double nomination. The court said no, that they have heard that particular petition before. So although the counsel was a bit unhappy about the decision of the court, but of course it is the Supreme Court, and whatever they say stands. So when the counsel left the court premises and came outside to meet journalists, he didn't want to grant any interview. He was very angry and left. But for the supporters of, you are aware earlier, the supporters of Tinubu is having a solidarity march earlier outside the court premises. And of course, some of the supporters were inside the Supreme Court, but they didn't allow them to enter inside the courtroom. So all of them are here. Some of them didn't want to speculate anything since the matter is still in court and they have reserved judgment. So the mood is a bit somehow because the supporters are still here waiting to hear from the councils what they have to say and what they will say. So as to, that will follow also the kind of behavior they will show after this particular place when we leave this courtroom.
Okay, just a final question to you, Marvelous. I'm just wondering if you could get, if you were able to get a glimpse of how the people from the PDP at Atiku Abubakar's camp, is feeling right about now, following the dismissal of the court reserve, in terms of this case. Were you able to speak with anybody from that camp?
All right, the camp of the PDP, the court just finished just about 3 minutes ago. They are yet to come out. All of them are still inside, but they will come out soon. Once they come out, they will address the press. So we'll have to know how they are feeling from their responses. So they are still inside the courtroom. They've not come out yet. But what we do know is that the fact that the case has been adjourned, and of course the APM's case has been struck out.
All right, thank you for bringing us up to speed, Marvelous Obomanu, our correspondent right there in Abuja. Thank you, Marvelous.